Hey guys, my name's Andre, coming at you from Packserv Australia. Here to give you a quick rundown on the PFM-3. This is our benchtop semi-automatic liquid filler. So you can fill any kind of product ranging from water all the way up to honey and everything in between. So oils, ointments, lotions and potions. You can dose out with a single shot anywhere from 2.5 milliliters up to 1.25 liters with interchangeable wet parts. We can guarantee plus or minus 1% accuracy dose to dose. This is a fully Australian made and Australian manufactured machinery built right here in Sydney. This machine is completely pneumatic, so it's able to be used with any kind of dangerous or flammable goods. Generally, you can expect anywhere from about 8 to 15 units a minute, depending on the viscosity of the product and what the fill size is. Hey guys, Andre here at Packserv Australia. Just going to give you a quick rundown on all the buttons and controls on the PFM-3 semi-automatic benchtop filler. At the rear here, we have this red shut-off valve. We've got two wings here. Once they're in line, that allows air to come through the system. Before I turn it on, I'm going to make sure the system is set to off and run. And my emergency stop is off. Cool. First thing I'll do whenever I turn this machine on is check that the air pressure at the rear of the machine is set between 5 to 6 bar. I'm going to come over here and just run through all the ports and what everything does. At the very back left of the machine, we have these two ports here. This is the PSO nozzle, or positive shut-off nozzle. This is used when you have a nozzle that actually has the function to actually close itself off to prevent any excess leaking in between fills and any drips going around your product. The middle ports are for the valve. Generally, we'll be running a rotary valve for this machine. There are instances where you might have a spool valve if you're doing a hot fill, which is above 60 or 65 degrees, but that's always going to be placed in the same two center ports. On the front, you have the foot switch. This is an optional extra, which essentially gives the ability just to have a foot switch that every time you press it, the machine will operate. Just makes it a little more user-friendly. Here at the front, we have the fill speed. So it has variable speed on this machine. The fill speed is how quickly this piston head is going to move forward. Essentially, this dictates how quickly your product is going to enter your container. So if I just flick this on and spin this fill switch completely clockwise, it's going to run really, really slow. And then as I open this up, faster, 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 faster. And then same with the recharge, I can turn it all the way down just to reduce the speed which it's actually pulling product into here, and then to increase it up. Generally with the fill speed, what we recommend is you run it as quickly as you can without it causing too much agitation or foaminess for the product, because obviously you want to get the most units per minute. In terms of recharge, if you're not using a foot switch, what you're actually going to use the recharge speed for is to determine how much time your operator has to get a container in front of the nozzle every time a fill cycle is completed itself. Otherwise, if you're doing, let's say, honey on a really thick day, really cold day, it's going to be really thick and slow moving. What will happen is the piston head will move all the way back, and then the honey wouldn't have fully filled the cylinder, and it might caveat inside. And what you'll notice is that when the piston head moves forward, it'll jump quickly and then slow down once it meets the product. You've got to make sure that your recharge is slow enough that the product completely fills the cylinder before it begins the next cycle. Otherwise, you will get variation in your fill size or volume each time. You've got the off and on button here, just a toggle switch. So if I flick this on, the machine will just constantly run backwards and forwards. If you're using a foot switch, you'll have this set to off, and every time you initiate the foot switch, that will actually get the machine to operate. Next, we have the emergency stop button. So if I run this, let's say I haven't got my container in place by the time, I can hit this, it will turn the machine off, and that way just try to prevent excess product going onto the floor, or in any bad situation, hit the big red button. Every time you engage this, make sure you flick the machine back to off, and then release it. If you try to release it, the emergency stop while the machine's still on, it will start to operate again. You might be back where you began. Here we have the adjust and run. Normally when you're running the machine, you'll have it set to run. The adjust button is used because all of our cylinders are variable in terms of volume. So right now we have a 500 milliliter cylinder in here. We generally say the maximum cylinder size, so 500 mil here, it's accurate down to 10% of that volume. So we will recommend filling anywhere from 50 milliliters up to 500 mil here. To do that, I'll flick it to adjust. What you'll notice is that this main drive bar is actually going to stop at the front, and that will allow me to open up the spoke on the rear hand wheel, or the volume adjustment wheel. And then on top here, I've got 0 through 10, which is essentially 0 to 100% of the cylinder volume. And you've got a little volume adjustment indicator arrow here. So if I bring this all the way into roughly where the 5 line is, and then I tighten this back up, that's theoretically going to be 50% of the 500 mil. So that's how it's going to be my first setting, which will be around 250 mil theoretically. You'll still want to check this with a scale or your bottle, depending on how you guys are doing it at home. And then once you've done that, you just flick it back to off and run. And now my drive bar is only going to come back this far. Cool, that's a quick rundown of the PFM-3, all the buttons that we've got in here. Any other details? Have a look at the manual.